If you'd please stand with me, I'm going to ask Clerk Strite to start us off in prayer.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you we can gather today. We thank you for the business before the County Commission, and we pray for your guidance and blessing on all said and done. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Clerk. And please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Hampshire County Commission meeting, Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. And we will start off the meeting with our minutes from the last meeting. All commissioners do get a digital copy to review ahead of time, so I would entertain a motion to approve or look at any corrections needed at this time.
Move that we approve the minutes from last meeting as presented.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second that we approve them as presented. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed on the minutes. Presidents and Commissioners reports. I'll start off. We do have a fairly lengthy agenda today, and looking down through last night and this morning, I think mostly anything I had to report on we can touch throughout the agenda. So for time's sake this morning, I will yield my time to the other two commissioners for their reports.
Much appreciated.
Commissioner Mance, go ahead.
Much appreciated, President Eglinger. I'm pretty much going to do the same. The only thing that I've been working on that is not going to be covered in the agenda is kind of a concept and idea. We want to encourage a lot of different things in the community, and we also want to manage our resources as best we can. So looking at those ways that we can incentivize some cool things with little resources. I think there's a free thing that we can do here from the County Commission, and that's just kind of say thanks and recognize when people in the community are doing the things that we want them to. So I think by next meeting, I'm going to try to build, and I would just, the reason for bringing it up now is to encourage you gentlemen to also, think about it. And if you guys have ideas in between now and the next meeting, I'd love to hear them. But I think it would be cool for us as a county commission to have either like every year or every 6 months, just a recognition of community service and, that we see in the county. We've got tons of volunteers that are doing wonderful things. Our fire departments, our EMS providers, and even our county staff. I think it's something that we could do that's low cost and kind of say thanks, especially as we're coming up on Thanksgiving, for a lot of the the good work that our community is doing. So that's going to probably come to a concept by next month. So just give you guys a heads up on that. But the rest of the stuff I've been working on, we can hit in the agenda.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Brill.
Thank you, President Eglinger. Too, most of the stuff that I've been working on is going to be touched on the agenda. Just two quick things to mention. I did attend a Potomac Valley Transit Authority meeting a week and a half ago. Just update a little bit. They are doing some new runs into Tucker County, which is new for the Transportation Authority. So they're kind of spreading out a little bit, trying to provide more services to individuals in other counties, greater areas. They do a lot of good work there. So, and they also applied for a grant several years back and got word just recently that they were approved for that grant, and they're hopeful that they're going to begin the process of changing over their buses to hydrogen-fueled buses sometime in the near future. So that's kind of exciting news, pretty big news for them. And then I just wanted to mention Delegate Hillenbrand reached out to me several weeks ago and was able to meet with him last week one evening and enjoyed our conversation, and appreciate him coming to me and offering to have a sit down, discuss some issues that are ongoing with the county and how we could work together to ensure that we're properly represented at the state level. So I appreciate him doing that. So everything else I believe will be covered in the agenda.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Brill. Clerk, do you have any quick household or housekeeping items that we could look at before we go to the library board?
Assessor sent exoneration, so those are there.
Make a motion that we approve the exonerations as presented by the assessor.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second for the exonerations. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed. Anything else quick, clerk?
We have HCSA exemptions. Yes, I'm trying to find the right word. It's going to be on the agenda to be considered differently later, but we have these. If we review and recommend. Mr. President, while you guys are reviewing that, I would just make a point that a couple of the plaster spots here in the courthouse have been repaired, and I would like to mention that Commissioner Mance employed his hands in a different skill set than we're aware of very well, and won't point out the exact spots, otherwise you won't be able to tell.
Yeah, it looks a lot better. We do have the chief HCSA here with us today. Chief, did you have any other comments or further information for the commissioners on these exemptions?
No, I think everything's there that you would need if you have
Okay.
questions. Feel free.
Since you were here, I just wanted to give you that opportunity. They are all, looks to me like, for approvals. So I would entertain a motion to approve these requests at this time, if you gentlemen feel that appropriate.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we got a motion and a second for approval of the exemptions submitted by the HCSA Board for ambulance bills. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed.
Get Tim Reese if you want.
And we have Mr. Moreland. Do you have anybody else from your board?
No.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead then. Wanted to make sure I gave you enough time for if you had anybody else coming.
It's just going to be me.
Morning,
Morning,
Chief.
gentlemen.
How you doing?
Mr. Brill, I haven't seen you for quite some
It
time.
has been a while. It's good to see you.
You too. Gentlemen, I'm here on behalf of the directors of the Hampshire County Public Library. And we're asking for financial assistance. And this relates to the, thank you, I guess, to repairs to our library facility. We've had some, we have gotten to the point where we need to replace much of the interior ceiling in the library building. The contractor whose bid I'm going to present today estimated it's about 6,100 square feet of the ceiling that we need to replace. It is the ceiling that's there now is a drop ceiling, and we would replace it with a new drop ceiling with a different size of panels, if you will. I think that's the proper term. Our library director, she usually comes to work about 8 o'clock, although it's long before the library opens up. It came in one morning, it's been, I would say, probably about 8 weeks ago, and found a portion of the library ceiling laying on the floor and right behind the circulation desk, which obviously created a hazard. We've had that area taped off since then and don't allow any patrons in that area. A portion, of the ceiling had collapsed, and with it, part of the, I don't know if you call it a heating duct or one of the structures that distributes the heat in the library was sort of hanging down loose, which it still is. We've not had any other collapses, to use that term, since then. We made a sincere effort, extensive effort to obtain bids on the replacement. We had 2 different bids come in. Our staff contacted, I have a list here of the number of other contractors that she had committed or contacted to try to get other companies to bid on it, local companies, companies from the Winchester area, Cumberland area. And it's an unusual job. It's going to be a very time-consuming job. It's going to be requiring lots of scaffolding and disposal costs for the old ceiling. The bid that our library board has suggested and that we are proposing today comes from Garber's Construction, which is a local firm, experienced. They build homes and do other substantial construction work. He's been in business here in the county, I'm just speculating, at least 20 years, and has an established crew. His bid was about $11,000 more than the other. I see you all writing down that figure. It's much more than $11,000. His bid was $11,000 more than the other bid that we received. So what we're proposing is not the lowest bid we got, but we believe with the reputation of Mr. Garber, his experience, the fact that he has an experienced crew of his own that have been working for him for a number of years, we believe as far as reliability, that this is the best proposal, and that's what we're recommending. I have copies here for your review, if you wish, of his estimate. And one thing that we think is important
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Garber has agreed to do the work in the library, which he said would take up to 2 weeks. But he has agreed to have his crew
Sure.
work in the evenings in the library.
Thank you, sir.
And on weekends, so that we can keep the library open for our regular hours. That's not to say that at some point during the replacement, that we would not have to perhaps close for a half a day, perhaps close for a day. It just depends on how it goes. But it would include a replacement of the entire ceiling. That's, again, I said 6,100 square feet. Would include the main library building, downstairs, as well as one of the restrooms upstairs and the conference room, which is also upstairs. As you can see, here we go. Thought I may have given away all my copies of the proposal. But the cost of the materials is going to be extensive. The labor costs, again, are significant. His total bid was $196,000, and he has submitted a proposal that he be paid in various draws at various stages of the replacement. We simply do not have, the library simply does not have the resources to fund this. We have, our library director has contacted the State Library Commission to see if they had any grants or other fundings that they might be able to help us with. They do not, which is not surprising. They receive their funding from the legislature each year, and then they disperse most of that to the various libraries in the state based upon their service areas and the number of patrons that they have. And as you know, that's a large part of our funding there, but that is for general upkeep and maintenance and expenses, employee costs, and labor. So we're getting by, but nobody in our position, we're a nonprofit corporation, has those type of resources that we could fund it. And we realize it's a large sum. The building was dedicated in 1967, so I'm going to say it was primarily constructed in 66. Don't recall all the specifics. I was probably in the 5th or 6th grade at the time, but I was very pleased at the new facility. When I got on the library board, I guess it was probably in the late 80s, been there a long time. The then librarian said, "Oh, well, you're the kid that used to come in here all the time, and we had to run out at closing time." So I've used the library. I'm very proud to still be on the board. Have worked through a number of sets of library directors over the years. We have a really good set of library trustees at this time, a good mix of the community, a good mix of experience in their various professions, and we're very, very proud of that. I've told each of them over the years when they came on the board, they wanted to know how long they would be expected to serve, and I told them, well, it's a lifetime appointment. You're not allowed to leave. And as I say, they've all been on the board for a number of years and are very dedicated to maintaining the library services as well as maintaining the library facility. It's obviously a large structure, as you can see. That's 6,100, estimated 6,100 square feet of the ceiling that needs to be replaced is not the entire interior of the library. We replaced the ceiling in the children's section, a number of years ago. So it's it's held up very well. But it is, it's just something that, due to the age of the facility and safety of patrons and staff, that needs to be done, and hopefully it will last for another 50 plus years. We have, or our library director has consulted one of our state representatives to ask for whatever assistance he could provide. And of course, his initial inquiry is, well, what kind of local funding do you get? You know, when he would go to whatever agency he could obtain some funding from, that's going to be a question that they ask as well. And although the facility, you know, the county commission and the library trustees jointly own the Davis House, which is on the library property, but the library building itself is owned just by the library trustees. So, you know, obviously it's not a building that the county owns. The commissions over the years have helped us with, you know, major projects when we had maintenance. We've had to have the exterior ceiling replaced probably in the last 8 years or so. It's a rubber roof. We had to have it replaced. We were getting some leaks, and that'll be some of the ceiling that will be replaced. So we do what we can with the resources that we've had, but we most definitely need assistance with this project. I'd like to ask you for the entire sum. I told my other trustees I sort of know the answer to that question. I know that the county, you know, deals with limited resources and limited funding as well. So, but we do need significant assistance. I would hope that we could get the county to pay half of the cost at least. And it's not, again, the contractor has asked to be paid in various draws at various stages of the work. So it wouldn't be like we would need a check tomorrow or next week, but he is anxious to get started. I think it's a good project for him, and that it's on the interior, you know, his crew can work. But it's very important that the work be performed at night or during hours when the library is not open, just for safety and practicality, but most importantly that we can keep the library open. We're open 6 days a week, and which is more hours than the State Library Commission requires, but the staff is busy all the time when we're open. We have a good staff. They've all been there for a while, and they're very dedicated to the library as well. I don't know if you can give me an answer today or not. I realize it's a big bite, and looking at your agenda, I know you've got some other financial considerations just on your agenda for today, and I'm sure you have them every month when you meet. But you know, this is a long-term commitment for the community and for the county.
Well, thank you, Mr. Moreland, for the update and the information. I do have a few questions, and some of them you've started to answer. You know, obviously, it is a large amount. It's a large project. We have limited funds. That's all been established. But as far as a path to success for you guys, you know, I would like to make sure we exhaust every opportunity that's possibly out there for grants. And I know it sounds like you've made some calls on that. I think we as a county could, you know, call on our grant writer to make sure we've exhausted all efforts there.
That would be great.
You know, along with any other possibilities, and maybe the other commissioners can chime in too if they have ideas, but just, any other avenues we can make sure we have exhausted in as far as coming up with some supplemental funds. I as one commissioner, certainly wouldn't have a problem with helping you all with this task, but as you stated in your presentation to us, we are limited, so I would want us to take the time to make sure we've exhausted every effort to get that number down as low as possible.
Certainly understand.
For all of us. Commissioners, do you all have anything to add?
I've got a few comments, President Englinger.
Go ahead.
First, I did have just a couple questions about the project itself.
Sure.
The nature of the collapse, what's causing the collapse? Is it just age of the ceiling tiles themselves?
Just the age is my understanding.
Okay, so no active deterioration, no roof.
I'm sorry?
No active deterioration, no ongoing.
No,
roof leaks
nothing significant we've noticed. As I say, over the years, but not for several years, we had a number of leaks in some of the areas of the ceiling, but the replacement of the roof remedied that situation.
I mean, the main reason for asking that was just kind of imminence of harm, right? So if it's stable, but it needs to be replaced, that
Yes.
places it just in a different place to.
Well, as I say, since that initial collapse, to use the term, we have not had any further issues with that.
And just help me out with, I didn't look at the project, I'm not familiar with it, and I'm sure you guys are. What was the justification for changing the tile size? Because I think that, unless I'm mistaken, that actually has a dramatic increase in price if you're not able to use a lot of the same rail system that the ceiling tiles are.
We did have the tiles tested for asbestos, and it came back negative. The existing tiles in the library, I'm going to say, are probably 1 foot by 1 foot,
Okay.
maybe 18 inches by 12 inches. The ones that would be used to replace, I would have to look at the estimate again, but he put the proposed size. I'm sorry, I can't put my,
2 before acoustical.
yeah, 2 feet by 4 feet, yeah.
And that's
So obviously it'd take less tiles, but
that's pretty standard. I guess what I'm trying to drive at is, did you guys try to explore just replacement of the tiles that are there using the existing track system that you guys have? Did you all price that out?
Of course, the track system is as old as the ceiling itself, but neither of the contractors we got bids from, I mean,
Wanted
they're
to
the
do
ones
that.
that suggested we go with a larger tile. We do have the same size tiles in the part of the upstairs where our stacks are. Stacks is what library people call shelves. So the new tiles would match those. And they've held up well. I mean, we've never had any issues in that part of the library.
Do you think the board would be willing to explore an alternative to, like, actually looking for the existing tile size to see whether or not you could save the track system? Because that could knock down a decent chunk of the price if you found a contractor
Well,
that was willing to do it.
and
And if the
again,
answer's no, that's okay.
I'm not a contractor, know nothing about construction or building materials. But as I say, just my understanding, obviously, the tracks and the wires that they hang from have been there for 50 plus years as well. I don't know the answer
Okay.
to that question. And as far as grants concerned, and I know you all deal with that disappointment too, many years ago, well, probably within the last 10 years, maybe less, we had to replace the roof on the Davis house, which was significantly deteriorated. And we tried to get a grant from various historical preservation agencies in the state, who all told us the same thing. They were getting less funds from the federal government, so consequently they weren't able to make those grants. We worked with the State Historical Preservation Society, which I thought was our best path, and their historical preservation officer happened to be here in Romney about that same time, and she did come down and look at the Davis house, and I mean, I hesitate to use the term, but she almost scoffed at me. You know, she said, you know, it's exposed timbers now, the original timbers that the building was constructed with. And she had seen a picture, which maybe many of you all have too, of the Davis house many, many years ago before it was restored, and it did have what they called German siding on it that had been painted. And she said, well, this isn't the original exterior of the building. And I said, well, they didn't have, you know, lap siding in 1792 when this building was built. No, the siding that you see in this photograph, which was from the early 1960s, I believe, was removed when the building was restored back in the early to mid 80s. But again, I was very, very disappointed with the entire experience. But and again, we had to proceed with the replacement of the roof, put a new metal roof on it, and the county commission did pay for half of that expense. So, you know, and again, hopefully it'll last as long as the original did.
Mr. Moore, I do just have a few quick questions,
Sure.
too, if you don't mind. I just wanted to be assured that it sounds like that there's no current disruption to the service provided by the library, correct?
Not at this point, other than the area that we have taped off, which again is very close to one side of the circulation desk. It would not be where, I mean, it's in the same general area. It's where the patrons and our staff would be in front of the circulation desk. But the place where the ceiling collapsed was sort of off to the side of that. But I mean, it interferes with our staff coming and going in and out of the office and so on, but not the patrons.
Okay. Did Mr. Garber provide you with a estimation of the time to complete a project?
He said
like
it
this?
could take up to 2 months. Again, with the understanding that, you know, they would work during the library, when the library is already closed. He said he had, you know, discussed that with his crew. If he was able to get this contract, that he wanted them to know they'd be working at night.
So are the trustees in position at all to be able to contribute to this project?
I'm sorry?
Are the trustees in position at all to be able to contribute to
We
this
can.
project?
I believe we could cover the first draw, which is $33,000, which the contractor would want before he started. And of course, he's going to have to purchase materials, which I think he estimated the total materials at almost $74,000. Of course, he won't need them all at once, but that is in his estimate.
Have you guys, as trustees, given any consideration to, you know, reaching out to the community as a whole?
Well, we would have to do some fundraising. I don't know. It would be difficult for us, and maybe not a good business decision, to sign a contract for this amount with any contractor, not knowing that we had the funds available to cover it. But we would have to have a fundraising campaign to ask the community to help.
Sure.
And on another library issue, myself and our directors and the directors from the Cape and Bridge Library will be here at your December meeting to discuss the upcoming levy, which has to be renewed next year. So we're going to be asking the public and the taxpayers for funds there, which of course would be a 5-year commitment. But I know Cape and Bridge has the same issues we do. You know, what we get is what we have to spend.
Can I ask Mr. Moreland, did the library board look at the possibility of I'll say, a patch or a temporary fix to extend the time that collectively we could come up with the funds or anything like that?
Well, we've not. And again, thankfully, we've not had any more of the panels dislodge and come down. Again, the two contractors that looked at it and did submit bids just felt it was best practice to replace the entire ceiling.
So I guess I'll follow up with that question would the board be willing to work with the commissioners to, like I said in the beginning, to make sure we've exhausted all avenues, being that it's quite a chunk of money?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
That would you be willing to work with us? And, I'd be willing to go down after the meeting today and take a look at the library. And again, I'm not a contractor, and I'm not doubting anything that's been presented here today, but I would like to just make sure, gentlemen, that we've exhausted all avenues and try to put us in a position where we can help you the best we can.
Sure, certainly.
Because again, being that the sizable amount of $196,000,
Yes.
That's a lot of money for us to, even at half, is a lot to just pull out of
Absolutely.
out of our yearly budget. Gentlemen, you have any further comments to that?
I think we've all kind of touched on the same themes. We want to figure out how to make sure that the project happens as cheaply as we can make it happen, but also accomplishes the task. We don't want you all to have a substandard product by any means, but we want to do our due diligence in making sure that happens. But the grant support, the only thing I think is kind of working against us here is the clock, i.e., your contractor wants to get to work because it's winter time and he wants to do the work inside. But that's kind of contrary to, one, what we understand our current position to be, and two, our ability to actually support through grants. So some of it, I think USDA facilities grants, this would be eligible if we can play around with some of the population size stuff. So that's a longer burn, but you could actually theoretically come up with a big library project if we could get that application put together. So, maybe pie in the sky more than just the ceiling. And I'd be happy to task, county resources to looking into that. And then even in-house West Virginia, the Department of Energy has an energy efficiency grant. I don't know if they've spun up the next cycle. The last one ended up in August, but that's $37,000 a crack. And that would apply directly to this. So I think there are grant opportunities that we can start to try to look for right now.
It's the West Virginia Department of Energy?
It's the West Virginia Department of Energy. And if you guys also, like I said, I'm happy to, if we decide as a commission to task our grant writer with this project, I'm happy to do that. But also, if you guys just want to sua sponte look at your own stuff, hit me up and I'll give you all the resources I have for grant stuff too.
Will you all make a referral to your grant writer, the county grant writer?
Yeah, if the consensus is that you gentlemen want to do that, we can start off with that. And, again, I'd just like to stress that we want to work with you guys, but we'd like to take some time to research it a little more to see what we can come up with. In layman's terms, that's the way I see it today.
Oh, I agree. I didn't expect I'd get a complete answer today, but and wish we could have been here sooner. But this is a list of the various companies and contractors that the library director and staff contacted to just try to get people to bid on it. It's an unusual job, and it's unusual as far as we need them to work in the evenings and weekends when the library's not open.
So our grant writer just walked in, and did you hear the conversation, Rolf?
I did. There's no problem. I'll start looking into it. And Commissioner Mance is right. The USDA grant would be eligible. We did just do the energy grants just a couple of months ago, so I think the cycle is not good for us. I mean,
Probably a year down the road for, certainly for
well,
federal
a few
funding.
months at least.
Yeah, just to make the application and
And
then,
that is not, I think you were right, it's, I think max, depending on what the program is about 37,000.
They have a carve-out under that program too, and like I said, you'll have to figure out the details, but they have a carve-out for larger projects that take longer as well. So play with the eligibility, but they have some larger projects that they can go up to like 200 grand for, depending on the length of the project. So, but all of that, with more information, we can make more informed decision as to how to stretch our county dollars as far as they can go.
So, Mr. Moore, I assume you're the contact person the commission should work
yes,
with
either
on this?
myself or Anna Poland, who is our library director.
Okay. So, again, we want to work with you. We'd just like to know that you all are willing to put some more time and effort into it with us to get where we need to be.
We'll do whatever we can to facilitate the project and the funding.
And a parting shot here, I would recommend that you actually touch base with the town of Romney as well, just as the library is in their jurisdiction. Not that the town of Romney has deep pockets, but as a municipality and as a small municipality, sometimes they qualify for different programs that we wouldn't qualify as a larger government too. So,
Many years ago, back in the 80s and 90s, the library did receive a small contribution from the town of Romney each year. I think it was about $500. And then they quit. I mean, it's been 20 or 25 years before we received any.
yeah, off the top of my head, I would think more along the lines of joining you in an application for something, because they might be able to qualify for different things than we could as a county. But like I said, just
Okay.
something to think about.
All right, thank you, Mr. Moreland.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We got a long agenda here, so I'm going to,
Got a full plate today.
yes, we do.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. If you have any other questions or anything, please, don't hesitate to give me a call or talk to Anna or anything we can do to provide information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll move on to our 9:30 agenda item, which is the Hospice of the Panhandle resolution.
And they sent that to us by email, and I believe we have representatives here, I think.
Yes.
Would you come up here?
Those that are representing the Hospice of the Panhandle, if you'd like to come up.
Yes, sir.
How y'all doing today?
Good.
Good.
Welcome, glad to have you here. And I will turn the floor over to you guys at this time, guys and gals.
Thank you. My name is Leroy James. I'm a board member with Hospice of the Panhandle and a resident here in Hampshire County. I was here last year at about the same time to present the proclamation. I was asked to read it, and I can do the same today, if you like.
My name's Jonna Shreve. I'm the nurse manager for the office here in Romney.
Okay, welcome. And again, you have the floor, sir, so if you would like to go ahead and read the proclamation, do so at this time.
I will do so. Whereas for more than 40 years, Hospice of the Panhandle has helped provide comfort and dignity to thousands of people, allowing them to spend their final months at home surrounded by their loved ones. Whereas the hospice model involves an interdisciplinary, team-oriented approach to treatment, including expert medical care, quality symptom control, and comprehensive pain management as a foundation of care. Whereas, beyond providing physical treatment, Hospice of the Panhandle attends to the patient's emotional, spiritual, and family needs and provides family services such as respite care and bereavement counseling. Whereas, since its conception, the hospice benefits holistic approach has helped patients prepare for and face death, and their loved ones carry on supported in the wake of it. Whereas palliative care improves quality of life and offers relief from pain, can be provided at any time during an illness, and hospices are some of the best providers of community-based palliative care. Whereas in an increasingly fragmented and broken healthcare system, hospice is one of the few sectors that demonstrates how healthcare can and should work at its best for its patients. Whereas 1.72 million Medicare beneficiaries living with life-limiting illness and their families received care from the nation's hospice program in communities throughout the United States in 2020. Whereas hospice and palliative care organizations are advocates and educators about advanced care planning that helps individuals make decisions about the care they want. Whereas the central philosophy of hospice care puts patients first, ensuring a coordinated and person-centered approach to care, protecting patient choice and access to individualized services based on a patient's unique care needs and wishes. Whereas given our universal mortality, hospice is a valuable benefit for all Americans and their loved ones. So I'm reading now, including Mr. Eglinger's name in this. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Brian W. Eglinger, the President of the Hampshire County Commission, by virtue of the authority vested in me by Hampshire County, West Virginia, do hereby proclaim November 2025 as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, and encourage citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of all care at home services, to include family caregivers, palliative care, hospice, home health, and private duty home care, and observe this month with appropriate activities and programs. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 18th day of November 2025 and cause this seal to be affixed.
Okay, thank you, sir, and I just want to thank Hospice of the Panhandle for what they do for our citizens. Very important, and thank you both for your participation in that. And gentlemen, do I hear a motion so that I could sign this for Hospice of the Panhandle today?
I would move that we, as a commission, authorize President Eglinger to sign the proclamation as presented.
Second?
Okay, we got a motion and a second for my signature on the Hospice of the Panhandle proclamation. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen. May I also just say we have our Light Up a Life upcoming here in Romney. That's the December 9th. December 9th. And there'll be, just as you all know, there'll be a large hospice banner put up in front of Schaefer's Funeral Home where Light Up a Life is held each year. So that'll be up, you know, a week or so prior to our Light Up a Life events there.
Very good.
Okay, thank you all again. And
Thank you.
the clerk will have the signed copy. Clerk, do you need the original first?
Can I scan that to you?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you all very much for
Thank you,
being here and
gentlemen.
all that you do for our citizens. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your help.
Yeah. I believe you have my email. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, moving right along, gentlemen. Disbursement of West Virginia Department of Health Emergency Medical Services supplemental funds.
We had gotten a letter back in July from the West Virginia Department of Health regarding $90,909.09, which we had to submit an invoice to be approved for. That has been received. And so I asked Mr. Hamrick if he could help in our discussion of that, but two things need to happen. One, we need to designate where the funds will be maintained in the county budget. The choices are to establish a new fund or to put it on a line item in our general fund, and that's what we're recommending. That way we don't have to purchase new checks, but we can track the disbursement of those funds and, you know, document the receipts and all that, which is required in the program. So I have a budget revision to accomplish that. And then the other choice decision is to determine how the funds will be distributed amongst the emergency services agencies. So Mr. Hamrick can field those discussions better than I.
Okay, well, before you start, Chief, gentlemen, let's go ahead and get the, how we deposit the money out of the way first. I think the clerk's suggestion for a line item in the general budget, it can surely be tracked there, and I think that's sufficient, unless you gentlemen see a reason we shouldn't do it that way. Let's get that out of the way first, and then I'll ask the Chief to speak on the details of our obligations to disperse the funds.
I would ask him anyways, so if he's already given us a suggestion, let's just roll with it.
So you already have the,
We have the budget revision prepared if that's the choice you wish to make, and we prefer that, would recommend it.
yeah, so,
So it would be budget revision number 4, general fund. And I have it here for,
all right, let's get that out of the way first, and then I'm going to ask Chief to talk about the disbursement details.
I'll make a motion that we approve the
official budget revision.
budget
number
revision number 4 on how to allocate the funds for the West Virginia Department of Health Emergency Medical Services.
Second?
Okay, we got a motion and a second in establishing a line item for these funds for the county. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed. Okay, Chief, go ahead.
So my recommendation would be, I think it was $90,000 allotted to divide it between the 4 transport companies equally. So the 3 volunteer companies and HCSA would get an equal cut of that money. I think that comes to $24,500. There's a 30% match, which would mean the investment would have to be for a piece of equipment equaling $29,500. I think that's rough numbers in order to get the full amount.
There was a 5% reserve mentioned in there
Okay.
as well.
So either way, I think it was a 30% match. So just divide that 4 ways between the 4 entities that do transports. There's a pretty strict list of equipment that is allowed to be bought with that money. You can't just go buy it for random things. It's not for stock, it's for actual pieces of equipment. I know HCSA is planning to buy a replacement cot for one of the ambulances, which comes to about $30,000 for our chunk of the fee. But I have spoken to the other volunteers. They understand there is a match if that is the way you guys choose to do it with a 4-way split. That would be my recommendation. So, any other questions regarding the funds?
I think, Chief, it would be wise for us to, now that we have the money and we have it to disperse, and to have an open line of communication with our other 3 recipients, being with the match, and what they're able to do, what they're not able to do, and perhaps, where the county might be able to help the best, just so we can make sure that money goes as far as it can possibly go to make the best benefit for our citizens.
Yep.
And I say that knowing that there may be limited funds available in some cases for something. So just being able for us to have that conversation of what they would like to do with the money and how they would attain working with the commission and the grant funds to make it happen. So.
Yeah, because, I'm sure they didn't budget for the extra $7,000 for the match that they would need.
Yeah.
So, hopefully this can go towards something they already budgeted for, and, help them save that $22,000 and only have to pay
Right.
$7,000 instead of $30,000. But there is a chance they might not have something budgeted for the match, so, they may need some assistance with that if
Yeah.
possible.
I just wanted to make sure we have that conversation going into it to make best use of it.
Yep. I had some preliminary conversations regarding that, so they are aware of the match, but I didn't, until you guys decided how exactly you were going to split and all that stuff. I told them there was some money coming, but we didn't know exactly the specifics, and there would be a match. That's all that we've discussed so far.
Commissioners, you all have any
only to just kind of clarify there, and I think that you're saying the exact same thing, President Englinger. If, one of the companies has a hard time coming up with the match, but they have an equipment need that's going to service or, serve our community, I'd like to hear about it. You know what I mean? So if there's especially, like, every time that I see an opportunity to leverage match funds to get a bigger investment for the community, I'm kind of all about it. And I'm not saying, hey, the match is there no matter what, but if, in your conversations with the companies, if they run into, hey, they've actually got this project that they want to happen, but they're having a difficulty, I'd say, have that conversation with you and then bring it to us for consideration. 'Cause
I will reach out to each of the chiefs this afternoon and see if they have a plan and move forward.
Yep, because we want the dollars to go as far as they can in the community.
Yeah, and sometimes what I've seen in the past with grants, and this certainly, I'm not saying this is the case here, but what I'm saying is, maybe something that's needed, really needed, doesn't happen because the grant doesn't just match just perfectly,
Yeah.
which I would hate to see something that's maybe not needed just to spend the money. And I'm not accusing that in any way, but what I'm saying, I've seen that happen with grants in the past.
Exactly.
You
Yep.
gentlemen know where I'm coming from.
I do. I think that's the perfect sentiment.
Yep. That's why with HCSA, what we planned to purchase was already budgeted, so it's just helping, it's something we were planning to get, so it works out, so. But, all right.
Thank you.
I
But
did
before
want
you-
to ask
before
one
you take
question
off.
while we're still together.
Yes, sir.
In this memo, there's one line in here that just wanted to bring up. It said 5% of the county allocation shall be distributed equally among all agencies licensed by OEMS that provide 911 response without transport capabilities. Do we have any of those?
So we currently do not. Company 7 North River is in the process of getting licensure and inspection to be a first responder company. So that means that we would be held at a BLS standard to
They would be-
respond.
And they would be part of the distribution?
Yes, but currently, there's just the 4 transport companies. We don't have any non-transport.
Okay. I just wanted to get that on the record while we're together.
Before you get out of here, President Eglinger, I think we discussed it briefly. Do you want to move the agenda item for consideration of order delegating decision authority forward so that we can?
Yes, we can go ahead and move that up while Chief's up here. If you move down there, Chief, to our last item, which, it may allow you to not have to spend your whole morning here. Consideration of order delegating decision authority for HCSA exemptions. Commissioner Mance has made that suggestion in our process, which we did this morning of looking at exemptions. And I've looked over that, and I assume Commissioner Brill has had the opportunity to do so too. I don't see any problem with doing it that way. There's still language in the ordinance for an appeal to any decision that you guys would make, but I do feel, in especially the last several months, as you all have been into the exemption process heavily, that you do a good job, you do the proper research, and you're very fair to the citizens in your considerations. So I would, as one commissioner, agree to Commissioner Mance's suggestion in delegating that decision authority initially to you and your board of going through that process. That would take the step out of us looking at each one individually here at the commission table. The only stipulation I would put in there is, we have a good open line of communication for, some are very straightforward and easy. For the difficult ones, you can still welcome to call me or any of the other commissioners to get us, our opinion or our research that we may have already done for a different tax reason. Still keep that line of communication open, but that's just my take on it as one commissioner. I'll open the floor for the other 2 commissioners to expand if they need to.
Largely, I called you and asked whether or not this would be compatible with your workflow in your office, since you guys are already doing the work, and it kind of stemmed out of the fact that we tend to approve whatever your recommendation is anyway, so in the vast majority of cases, this should make it faster for you guys to process the file and then get it back to our citizens, and then we're still here to hear it on appeal if it, comes to that. If, a citizen disagrees with your decision, we can still hear it, and then it's still appealable to the circuit court if, an aggrieved citizen disagrees with our opinion as well. So if you guys are cool with it, then that was the thinking behind it.
And that way you're not, I know like last month you guys were kind of waiting on us to have a commission meeting to look at that larger stack.
Yeah.
So it would take that step of the process out, and I think we're perfectly legal to do it that way, so.
Yeah, so the very brief conversation that we had regarding this, I said, whatever will make your guys' life easier and streamline the process, I'm fine with. I don't mind being the person that goes and does the research like we have been and having the final say. It's just, there's more complicated cases. As long as I can lean on you guys and come in and say, hey, this is kind of a little odd one or a gray area, I want to make sure I still have the ability to come to you all and ask for input before I make that final decision. I don't like being the sole person that says, yep, this is how it is or this is how it is, and if I can get your input and overall approval if needed at the end.
And you've already been doing that in the past, Chief. I know a few weeks ago you had 7 or 8 of them there that we needed to really look at in depth to figure them out, and I'm glad to come in and help you guys with that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, yeah, as long as I still have that to lean on, I have no problem with that, and it helps you guys and helps streamline our process. I know we tried to get everything done by October 1st, but it ran over because of the extras that we had this year, so we were a little bit past that October 1st point. So.
Yeah, very much appreciate the time and effort you and your board put into those decisions. I know they're not easy. It takes a lot of time to go through those, so certainly if we enact this change and go this way, certainly know you can lean on us as much as need be.
Yep.
We're here to certainly help in any situation. So
Thank you. I always appreciate your all's support.
So at this time, I'd move that we approve the order as presented to authorize the initial determination for HCSA exemptions down to Chief Hamrick's office.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second for the order delegating decision authority to HCSA for the initial exemption decision. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed.
And then President Eglinger just signaled for Chief to stay. I think that we could benefit, even though we know that the decision isn't going to be made today, pending the determination from the HCSA board. Just kind of a preliminary report from the chief on his proposal for restructuring in the education position within the county, because it's already on the agenda. if
Yes,
that's all right.
Chief spoke with me right prior to the meeting, and we did discuss removing that from the agenda, but I'm more than welcome a discussion on the topic. I did request that we go through the proper channels of the board, his board, and just some more in-depth research of that before we take a position on that, but I welcome the discussion started today, so we will go ahead and move that up as well, Chief, again, so we're not calling you up multiple times. So if you're so inclined to change gears once again, go ahead and start the discussion there. And like I said, I welcome the discussion. I just spoke with Chief earlier, and I felt that really needed to be discussed with the advisory board.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I apologize. I should have went to the board first and then to you guys. My plan was to go to you guys and then go to the board tonight at our meeting, because it was the scheduling, the way it worked out. But the overall request is our county, our acting captain, training captain right now, she is doing all the training for HCSA as a whole and for the volunteer EMS, but there is a severe lack of being able to do fire training in our county. as well as EMS training and technical rescue. And we've spoke with the Board of Ed, who actually approached us regarding their high school program, which no longer exists as of this year for EMS. Trying to come up with a way that we can have a better training program as a whole in the county. Right now, it is a very large struggle to get classes within our county, just finding the instructors. So if we could hire an internal instructor that would support fire, EMS, and technical rescue training throughout the county for the volunteers and career personnel, as well as a high school program, I think that would be a huge addition to the overall goals of the county EMS and fire systems. So my recommendation would be currently our assistant chief and deputy director of HSEM works solely, really 98% of our time goes into emergency management, where 30% of our payroll comes from HCSA, 70% comes from emergency management, 98% of our focus is emergency management. So I would like to make that official and just roll her in to the deputy director of emergency management and no longer overseeing any operations of HCSA. With that being said, I would like to put our current training captain into the assistant chief position, who will oversee the training program, but hire a training captain that actually does the training physically for all the departments. This would, at a minimum, I would require them to teach a Fire 1, Fire 2, EVOC, EMT, pump operator, and vehicle rescue classes annually. We already do an EMT class, and this is probably going to be very close to a cost neutral position for the fact that right now we are already teaching the EMS and EMT, and we have FTO positions that bring in our new recruits and train them up to the level to be operational. So this position would take care of all of those. Currently, we pay a fair amount of overtime to teach these classes. An EMT class, as we're finishing up now, an EMT class, it costs us about $6,000 to have just an EMT class and overtime, because it takes 2 instructors, 3 instructors sometimes for the hands-on portions, and then Courtney's not always available to do the actual teaching for the EMT class. If she's on vacation or has other meetings to go to, then we pay someone overtime to fill that role. So it will be very close to a cost neutral, especially once you take the current 30% salary from the deputy director, put that over to emergency management where it belongs. It opens up those funds for this training position. So between the overtime and the reallocation of the emergency management deputy director, it will be very close to a cost neutral. We are currently right on budget as far as our payroll goes, and look good overall as a whole for the year for where we will be. I don't foresee any needs from the general fund for any type of payroll at the end of the year, or even startup money for next year. We should be in a very good position. I can go over those exact details with you guys later. Also, a void that we have in this county is hazmat operations. We, many years before I ever moved to this county, took on the regional response team hazmat truck. I believe that was somewhere in the range of 2015. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was at least 10 years ago. Since it's been taken, there's been no formal hazmat team or response built out. One of the goals is part of their job as the training director or training captain would be to oversee the hazmat team coordination, organize that, do regular monthly checks on the hazmat, and also respond to hazmat calls if needed throughout the county while that person is on duty Monday through Friday. It won't be Monday through Friday 8 to 5, because sometimes we'll be doing evening classes for the volunteers or weekend classes for the volunteers. It's not going to be a strict schedule of Monday through Friday 8 to 5. We're going to have to be a little flexible with that position. So hopefully we can find someone that has a hazmat background as well as all these instructor classes, and be able to have a solid instruction plan. Speaking with the president of the Board of Ed, he would like us to start in January. I told him I don't think that's feasible. I would like to have a good, solid curriculum going into the beginning of next school year, and make sure that we have all of the certificate requirements that we need to try to get a fire and EMS program back into the school system. The county, unfortunately, significantly lacks recruitment and retention. for fire and EMS. We really need to work on that to keep our volunteers and to train our volunteers up. And I think this is the first step to that goal. A long-term goal, speaking with the Board of Ed, they may potentially have some land available for us to have a training facility in the future. And really, we need a regional training facility in this area. There is no training facility for fire and EMS within 2 counties of here. So if we could long-term work on grant funding, things like that, to try to build a training facility, this is step 1 into that process, step 1 into getting fire and EMS into the school systems and getting the manpower that we need, boots on the ground, butts in the seats, to go out here and fight fires and save lives on ambulances. So that's the long-term goal. That's what all this is structured into. I believe it's going to be pretty close to cost neutral, with the exception of the 30% of the deputy director's salary going into the emergency management budget, which we do have wiggle room in that budget to handle that. We will still be within budget at the end of the year for the emergency management budget. So that's everything I had. I'm sure you guys have some questions. That was kind of a long spiel there.
Well, Chief, I'll just start out. Especially touching on the training proposal there, that's a goal I would have liked to have seen us accomplish by now, and I think it is time that we take a serious look at that. So I think that's a good idea, and I'd like us to continue researching that. My concerns is, again, I feel this is a little rushed as far as, being the responsible person for, since we have 2 new commissioners, for raising the fee. I want to be very sure that we are in line budget-wise. And I know you have taken a lot of time and effort to start to show me all that, and I have been checking with you periodically. So, I'm still good there. I just, my concern is, this big of a step, we need to basically, call in the troops and get a real handle on what it's going to affect and how before we proceed. So that was my concern with having it on the agenda as a decision item. But again, I do like the training aspect and reaching out above and beyond HCSA and being able to provide that, locally and maybe even regionally. Good idea. Again, I really feel like we need to sand the edges down more before we.
I fully agree with you, and I pride myself being fully transparent with all 3 of you and with the public as well. So that was one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to stay on the agenda, just to have this discussion, is so that publicly everyone understands what our goals and plans are for the future, and also to answer any questions with all 3 of you while I'm here and we're all together, because we don't get to sit down at the same place very often. So I agree with you with the points of trying to get to the different boards and committees and making sure that everyone is in agreement. And, there might be some ways to sand this down and some ideas I didn't think of that, I'll take anyone's opinion into consideration. And if we can build it a different way, that's great. But I think this is a solid foundation that we can work off of and, tweak it the way that it needs to be tweaked.
Gentlemen, you have any? I'll open the floor for the other 2 commissioners to comment or question Chief while we got him here.
I do. I appreciate it, President Langer. I am in favor of this as a concept because I think it is, kind of preventative in nature as well. Recruitment and retention isn't an easy thing to point to as far as payoff. But if we understand the problem set writ large as emergency services provision across the county, and we understand that there has been a historic trajectory of decline in volunteerism and volunteer support, if we can understand that problem set and do everything we can to prevent that, to make those resources last as long as possible, even though it'll maybe be hard for us to see the return in a single budget year, if we can plant the seeds and make more EMS providers and more firefighters homegrown here in our community that ideally have careers in and around our community, even in the neighboring communities, but are able to volunteer here and contribute. I hope that we can kind of contemplate the long-term benefits associated with this as well, and they're going to be difficult to capture in a budget as far as return, but decreasing cost for the entire system is the goal, and I think this is a good approach to that. We want EMS should be, or emergency services should be something that we celebrate in the community, and as early as we can get it into kids and get our kids into it, I think the better as far as long-term outcomes. So for that reason, I'm probably going to support this effort, and I think it's a great idea to buff it up and make it as strong as possible before we bring it forward. But I'm a fan.
Yeah, I agree. My long-term goal is to get these students in the high school system to have a 2-year program to where they do EMS 1 year, the second year they get their fire classes, to where when they graduate high school as a senior, it's a junior-senior program, as a senior, they have everything they need to go get a paid job somewhere else, but stay within our community. I'm sure 20% of them might go elsewhere and move away, but 80% of them will stay in our community and volunteer. I would say roughly 40% of our volunteers are paid somewhere else in the state or in other states, but they reside here and they volunteer here. It is hard to find people that have a love and a passion for EMS and fire, so a lot of people make a career out of it, but they also love it so much that they do it for free on the weekends and in the evenings, and that's what supports our county system. We're a long ways away from ever implementing paid fire staffing, I believe, in our county. Hopefully there isn't a need. Hopefully we can keep building the volunteerism up and making sure that every company has the proper amount of volunteers to help their community, their prospective communities and areas as a whole. So that's the long-term goal. This is just to build the system, fire and EMS, on all sides to keep everyone afloat and have plenty of manpower the whole way across the board.
Yeah, I love the forward thinking. I love the idea. Youth development is super important in this county on many levels, and so there seems to be a little bit of a youth drive going on now. There's some young folks that are getting involved with some of these volunteer organizations that seems to be for the last 15 years have not, and so I think there's an opportunity right now to kind of offer those things for some of these folks, provide them a different way to be able to be a productive part of the community, even if it isn't a volunteer position. If they go receive a paid job, get training elsewhere, and can bring that knowledge and expertise back here, that's great for us, and in any ways that we can support that and collaborate together, I think are great. So appreciate you taking the time to put this together, and look forward to continuing the conversation.
I appreciate your all's time, and we will continue to work on this and sand down the edges and get everything put together. So, thanks a lot, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, gentlemen, we have the Hampshire County Line Clarification Process Agreement to look at.
You can tell I didn't write that one because it's short.
I got a copy.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say I brought a copy up for everybody.
Okay, to just give an update for the public, the Hampshire County Commissioners, along with the clerk and the assessor and the GIS offices of both Hardy and Hampshire County, met to discuss our line, basically our line that basically goes from Purgattsville to Capon Springs on that end of the county. Hasn't been really looked at and confirmed since, when was it, gentlemen? 1888. So we were looking at cursive handwritten documents and handwritten maps there the other day, but something that the clerks have brought up in the past, and something that needs to be looked at in a professional and in-depth way. Both counties agreed that we were willing to do that, and so we met, and we are going to attempt not to change that line at all, but to relocate that line based on the 1888 survey and, again, find that line. It's vague in some places, I believe, and it'll be an attempt to standard that line that already exists. However, again, it's over the years been lost from the original map. So that'll clear up some things for the clerks, for various different things that the clerks deal with, from anywhere from deeds to voting to that sort of thing. So just to give the public an update on our discussion here and what we're doing, because if we just went straight into that, it might be somewhat confusing. But we have a memorandum of understanding, gentlemen, and it's the cost associated with the retracement survey, that was the word I was looking for there a minute ago, of Hampshire Hardy County line. And basically, I'll just read that memorandum of understanding. It has been suggested that Hampshire Hardy County line be located using GPS technology. A survey of the recorded 1888 survey of said county line shall be used. This is only a retracement survey and no changes are being made. A starting estimated cost of locating said county line shall be as follows. A beginning estimate of 350 hours at $100 an hour for office and field time, $100 for the use of the GPS unit. This would be $100 per hour for the use of the GPS unit. This would be tallied as actual time used. Estimated cost is approximately $35,000. Memorandum or monumentation, of the county line shall be an additional cost based upon the type and location of the markers. And the personnel involved would be Mr. David Joplin of Hardy County, Greg Ely. I should have brought my glasses, gentlemen. P.S. Retired working for Joplin Surveying, Hardy County, and Rick Moreland of Hampshire County, also a surveyor. So, gentlemen, your consideration of moving forward with this is what we're looking at here today.
And I would just note that Joplin and Moreland are both the elected county surveyors for the respective counties.
Yeah, thank you, Clerk, for clarifying that as well. I should have mentioned that they are Hardy and Hampshire's respective county surveyors.
The only thing I really wanted to touch on was kind of the justification. There's at least some degree of mismatch right now based on the state not having an accurate, updated since 1888 understanding of where the line is. So there's good justification for actually getting this delineated so that we can get all of the services that depend on the accuracy of this line done. And then we've committed ourselves to making sure that the public that's going to be affected by this survey is apprised. They're going to receive, everybody that could be affected by it is going to receive letters from, I think, ourselves and Hardy County. And as there are, anticipated, if, they move forward and we end up having survey done, we'll make sure that they're notified ahead of time of that as well. So all of our citizens that could be affected by this, we're going to do our best from the county side to make sure that they have all the information that they need.
And I guess just for clarity purposes, just so that the general public understand, the total estimated cost of $35,000 at our meeting was agreed to be split evenly between the two counties.
Yes, thank you for that clarification as well. Again, it's something that needs to be done, and I stress that it is only a retracement. We're not resurveying. We are just retracing the original established line. so that, and as Commissioner Mance stated, there are areas where there's possibly parcels in Hardy that should be in Hampshire and vice versa. So we are going to do our very best to make sure that that line is put in the appropriate place according to the 1888 survey.
President Eglinger, I would move that we as a commission approve the MOU as presented.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second on the floor for the approval of the memorandum of understanding for the Hampshire Hardy County line retracement survey. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed. And running just a little bit late, but we got Mr. John Todd Hott here today, and I believe you're next on the agenda, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I've got a few things for you, 3 things actually, and I'll try to be brief. Each year, the Development Authority applies to the State of West Virginia Economic Office for financial support, and as part of that LED, or Local Economic Development Grant process, the County Commission signs a commitment of funds resolution saying that you will support us in that process. It's basically a dollar-for-dollar grant commitment, and it's an annual, what I call rite of passage, that the County Commission supports us in that endeavor. So I have the resolution, and basically what it says is that the County Commission, subject to availability of funds, will commit at a minimum of $100,000 up to $150,000 to use in the for the 2026-2027 economic development fiscal year for economic development efforts. And it, again, it's the standard letter that we use when we submit our grant to the state. It's not due until February, but we tend to send that in usually right around Christmas time. So it's the standard letter that we ask the County Commission to sign, and I brought that to you today. So that's business item number 1.
Does it typically have a range in it like that? Is that what we do every year?
We do.
Yeah.
And as the county know, as you all know, you all have been supporting us with $25,000 a quarter.
What's the cap on the state contribution?
This year, last year it was $41,000. They have reduced it this year to $30,800.
Really?
So they've cut back this year.
Okay. Is that a percentage of whatever the county's contribution is?
No, it's just what's available in the state budget for the Economic Development Office.
Okay. Great. I'm good.
What was their reason, John Todd, for bringing their amount down? I mean, obviously, what's available, why wasn't it available, I guess what I'm asking.
Well, last year, the budget for the State Economic Development Office was a little fatter. Things have tightened up at the state level. With Governor Morrissey has kind of tightened the budget. He kind of is looking at every dollar, anything over $100,000 he personally looks at. And so just the state budget has been, it's a little tighter this year than what it was last year. And actually, it's back to the level it had been for quite a while. Last year was kind of a fluke. We got $10,000 more last year than we were used to getting.
I didn't remember that, but
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Thank you for that clarification.
I'd say let's go ahead and take care of it. President Eglinger, I would move that we adopt the resolution as presented for funding the Hampshire County Development Authority.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor and a second for the commitment of funds resolution by the Hampshire County Commission presented to us from the Development Authority. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. The second thing I have is, as you guys know, we signed an MOU several months ago, and it has been amended once again. I kind of thought this might happen. I'll get it
Get
one
that
second,
one
Brian, thank
done,
you.
John Todd.
The original MOU that was written by the law firm that represents the Board of Education had in it that we were going to grant the mobile units to the Day Reporting Center. It was something that I was really trying to get for Director Taylor. He was really hopeful that we could get those for him. He felt that it would be very beneficial in the operation of his the services that he provides. But the Board of Education kind of insisted on selling them at an auction, and they've done so. And I guess in the conversations that I had with the Board of Education, it stuck with Denise and with the new superintendent. It was in the last MOU that we signed. It is now, those mobile units have now been sold, and they're in the process of moving them out. So the attorneys have amended the MOU to take that language out. It's just one little blurb. And so I guess to be legally correct, our attorney and the Board of Education's attorney has recommended that we get the MOU signed correctly, and then I give it to Eric to refile the MOU. So I have that document here today for you to sign again, Mr. Eglinger, or President Eglinger. So I have the entire document that I'm going to give to you, but here is the signature page, and I was going to pass it on to Eric when we're done.
Okay, gentlemen, so you've heard the reason for signing a new MOU there from Director John Todd Hott. Any further discussion? If not, we'll entertain a motion to sign that.
Just real quick, you confirm with Hoy that he reviewed it and that was the only modification?
Correct.
No issues. President Eglinger, move that we authorize you to execute the updated MOU as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second that the commission authorize me to sign the updated MOU. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. And then the last thing is Commissioner Mance, who serves on the board with me at the Development Authority, asked me to give a brief update on workforce development issues. I was fascinated listening to Mr. Hamrick talk about what was happening with the EMS classes and kind of how it ties in with that. I am excited to announce that in partnership with Eastern Technical Community College, and actually the work we've done with Hampshire County Schools, with the leadership at the Deaf and Blind School, that coming in the fall of 2026, there will be 3 classes that will be available to the general public, that will be available to Hampshire High School students, to students at the Deaf and Blind School. We are instituting a welding class at Hampshire High School that will start in August of 2026. And there will be 2 classes at the Deaf and Blind School for that same group for carpentry and also for electrical. So, Brian, as you recall, when we were in high school, we were told that you have to go to college, you have to get a 4-year degree to make anything of yourself. And so we ignored for so long the trades. Well, now we're changing that. We're actually putting an emphasis on the trades to try to build up, our workforce. We have a lot of businesses that are looking to move here, and we just don't have the workforce for it. So we're trying to make the appropriate changes to build that back up. And I'm happy to report that the high school, when we got to talking about this, there was a grant possibility for them. They've already written it. We're supposed to hear about it by the end of December, because the high school facility needs about $50,000 to $60,000 worth of upgrades to get it to the point where it is a shop that you can be welding certified. We're more fortunate at the Deaf and Blind School. Their carpentry shop is pretty much already there, but we're going to have to do some work to get their electrical shop up to speed. So there are exciting things. Everybody that we have worked with between the Board of Education and the Deaf and Blind School and Eastern, who's kind of our leader in terms of kind of securing monies for us and curriculum and getting the what we call the micro-credentials, so that you as a student in that class can come out of that class with a certificate that says, yes, I am a certified, and I'm not the expert in this, by the way, electrician or carpenter or welder. You have that certificate that you can go into a job and say, you know, I've got the skills and the qualifications to do the work. Now, that's not where it's going to stop, but that's where we're starting with this. We hope in the next 2 to 3 years that we can add other classes in other areas that we need to, but it's a great first step. And I'm excited about it. It's kind of all I really talk about anymore, it seems to be, and I've got other things that I've got to work on. And one thing that I want to mention to you too is we have our quarterly infrastructure meeting tomorrow after our board meeting. And one of the other things that we're going to be focused on now as we hopefully bring employers to the market or bring to Hampshire County, and we have tradesmen, now we have to start working on housing. So you're going to hear tomorrow some exciting news, I hope, about some housing initiatives that we're taking to try to help build up the inventory of homes in our county. Right now, as of yesterday, we have 84 homes for sale in the county. That's it. And the median cost of those homes is $290,000. To me, that's not middle-income housing. We've got to do something to focus on that. So we're working with some developers to bring some good news in that front. So change is happening. I think it's good change, but it's not going to happen overnight. But we are beginning to take some steps, and I'm excited about what's happening at the Development Authority. I think there's some really good, positive things that are happening for our county. And once we get those laid in, get those building blocks in place, I think the employers are going to come, because we have some great opportunities in Cape and Bridge, in our tech parks and other areas for that to happen.
Thank you, John Todd, for that update. Just one quick question. With this first step, you know, the welding and carpentry and electrical classes, is that strictly for student age individuals, or would people that would like to change careers?
Absolutely, absolutely not.
They
It is
be able
for,
to.
let's say I get fired tomorrow from the Development Authority and I want to become a welder. I can enroll in that class in August and I can become a certified welder in 12 weeks, and I could go to work. It's for all adult-based, it's for adult-based learning. It's for the kids at the deaf and blind school that want to do that. It's also for high school students, but it's for adults as well.
Okay. That's
Absolutely,
good.
absolutely.
Good. Gentlemen, any other questions or comments?
I just wanted to say thank you for your leadership in this, JT, and driving this. It's really inspiring, the amount that you've been able to do in just a little bit of time that I've seen you working on it. And thank you. And also, you know, to the partners that you've got, that you've built this effort with. So thanks to everybody that's, you know, putting in on this, because it's big payoffs for the community in the long run. So thank you, man.
Well, I've just been fortunate to get the right people in the room, and they've done the work. They really have, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for all your work.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Awesome, thank you.
We're good. I'll get it to you. Thank you. This afternoon.
All right, next on the agenda, we have bids to replace roof on proposed sheriff's office and day report building. And I see the sheriff and Mr. Taylor are here, so if you gentlemen wanted to come on up, please. Morning, guys.
Morning.
I will,
I think they don't know I think I have a part in this too.
okay, clerk, well then, go ahead and start us off then.
Well, I'm still in the last. So, Matthew Hott asked me to present the bids that arrived after he went through the process. He had a mandatory pre-bid meeting with contractors. We received 2 bids, one from Height Roofing and one from Blackstone Roofing. Both excellent contractors that have worked with us in the past on various projects, particularly roofing. The 2 bids came in because we went ahead and opened the bids as per what you've asked us to do in the past. Very close. Blackstone submitted a bid of $133,000, and Height Roofing submitted a bid of $134,000. And they seem to be very parallel and what they're offering and what they're proposing. So that was what was the result of the request for bids that has brought us to this point. And these gentlemen are very interested in where we go from here. Do you guys want to review these? I mean, we opened them and reported that, but whatever you want to do with them.
Yeah, go ahead and,
You all were able to
Have
review
them
the
here.
bids completely, satisfied with the scope, everything that was presented? Oh, you guys haven't yet.
The original estimate that came in, which was done by one of the contractors that submitted the bid, was for $85,000. It's significantly higher. Of course, it's also about a year later. So I don't know if that has anything to do with the increased cost of supplies, but it is significantly higher than what we have. It's significantly higher than what we had actually budgeted for the project. I believe we have 85,000 combined total. That's between what the county commission agreed to give us for this project through the county opioid settlement funds, and that was at the time $59,642, and then with the West Virginia First Foundation funds that we received, we would add $25,358, and that put us at $85,000.
Well, Darren, I think we need to reevaluate that a little bit, because I believe the opioid fund stands a good deal higher than that at this point, although at the time that it was initially allocated, I think the figure was 70,000. But it's now stands at 90 for the commissions on your report for funds.
It's full. I think that, just to clarify that, and from what I understand, is that the funds that were in current receipt of the county at the time were allocated to the project, and then we've received additional opioid funds, like 15 grand or something along those lines.
It's now at $90,166. $90,166.
Yeah, not sure on the actual math at this point, but we're looking at 90,000 then, if the commission is still willing to commit that funds, along with the 25,000 that we have, that would, make up a good bit of that difference, but we'd still fall a little bit short of what the bid is.
Has anybody received any update on timeline? I mean, I know that we've been playing with this MOU and getting the, JT, you're in the room too. Do we actually have an updated timeline on when we expect the property to transfer? Has any of that come about?
Transfer, it's in, you all own, the county commission owns the building.
We do own the building now. We've actually already, have we received title?
That deed was recorded, wasn't it?
Deed was recorded, so yes, you have it.
Fantastic.
You had it
That's
for a
an-
while.
Yeah, that's an update for me. I didn't realize. Wonderful. So,
The MOU, and then the deed was presented and recorded.
awesome. So it's ours. We can move forward.
That's my understanding.
Gentlemen, what do you all think about you have not been able to receive or review the bids, though.
well, I think it's a project we wanted to do, and we need to, we're this far into it. There's, most of the funding's there, even though it's more than we originally thought. I don't know why the large difference, but surely a year doesn't really justify that. But again, I don't know the original bid, how formal that was, or regardless, it is more, but we're almost there. So, I would say that we do what it takes to finish this up. We'll have to decide on the two are very similar in price. We need to look at the details as far as warranty and that, and see if there's any difference there. But to me, it's something we need to move forward on. We're, like I said, we're at the end of the race here. So let's go ahead and do it, is my one commissioner's opinion. And I guess for clarification, as Commissioner Mance just mentioned, we originally wanted to make sure, who was in control of the building or whatever. Now, there's been so much back and forth as to who's going to own the building, who's not. I just wanted to clarify, John Todd, now the Development Authority is not wanting the building again, or?
No, okay, so I really hadn't planned on talking about this, but we do. Where it stands right now is that there's a new plat that had to be redrawn, and it's over in Greg Everett's desk at the town of Romney, waiting to be signed off on some kind of subdivision ordinance. We need something, and then as soon as that's done and presented, Hoy is going to draw up a transfer from the county commission to the development authority. But what we've done now is allowed you all to own the building so that you can move forward with putting the roof on. That was the main goal when we talked about this, months ago.
The deed
And
has
that was
been
my main
recorded that
thing.
the
So
commission owns the
eventually, but
building.
yes, my board voted, they said they did want to own the building.
Okay.
And so that's and once we get that done, the next step is we're working on the lease where we're gonna, create like a 20-year lease or whatever between us and the county commission, where you pay no rent, but you all take care of the building. It's like
I just want to make
but
sure
yes,
we were
but that's
clear
what
on that.
my board voted on that several months ago.
Okay.
To do that.
The
Okay.
reason for the plat was there was no right-of-way to that particular piece of
Right,
property,
well,
correct?
it had to be
The new
carved
plat,
out because
yeah.
it was now a separate owned piece of property, because the rest of that property, once it gets demoed, we hope we sell to a developer that brings in a grocery store and, some housing or whatever.
Nice restaurant next door would be nice.
Well, we need some housing and a grocery store.
Is there a timeline on the demo?
Yeah,
Taco Bell.
yes. Yeah, that's been awarded and
Eric, were you guys able to review warranty information or anything to differentiate the bids at all when you all pushed through the packet?
Matt's opinion was there was no discernible difference.
Gentlemen, the only thing I think that is appropriate for us to consider, and I'm okay if it's not the direction we go, is, increase in $50,000 in price over the course of a year indicates that there's a possibility of savings if we rebid the project. However, we've been dragging these gentlemen along for, a better part of a year now, trying to get the MOU sorted and get the property transferred over, not by any intentional act, but just they want to get moving on the project, they want to get it moving forward. I think it's appropriate for us to discuss whether or not we want to require it to be rebid to see whether or not we can save $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. But if that's not the route that we go and we move forward with the project, I'm comfortable with that as well.
Yeah, just based on my experience and dealings with construction, I would love to see that be the case, but I do not anticipate that happening over the course of in the foreseeable future. It is difficult to swallow. I feel like the increase in cost, things obviously do cost more today than they did a year ago, and a lot more today than they did 10 years ago. I don't foresee things changing or the cost of things coming down significantly enough for us to delay this any more than we already have. One question I do have too is, obviously the roof is a very important piece of this. It has to be good before you do anything else. Is there the work that needs to be done on the interior to be able to move in to this facility? How quickly is that going to happen? Costs involved in that, if at any at all? I'm just asking because I know we've talked about it briefly, but I just can't recall.
There is some work that needs done. As far as upstairs, in our section, it's mostly hardwood, so I was hoping to get the hardwood flooring redone, not replaced, just refinished. Downstairs, it's mostly tile and carpet. Some of the carpet's good, some of the carpet is starting to mold because it's sitting there vacant. So that carpet's probably gonna have to come out, and that floor will probably be replaced with some type of laminate vinyl flooring, I would suspect. The entire building probably could stand a good painting. But what we're going to run in, probably the most expensive, is securing it with the cameras. Obviously, today's age, we need cameras and secure doors and that. So there's going to be some expense with that.
None of that would be, you anticipate taking place clearly until this project is complete, the roof project is complete?
I have no intentions of trying to move in until that old building's gone, because it just, and there is preliminary time frame that could be done late winter, early spring, but again, you know, that's dependent upon the weather as well.
Sure.
How
And
fast the Board of Ed moves with getting that all done.
I would guess that even the roof project itself is going to be dependent upon the
Exactly.
weather, the winter. Is there, I didn't see in either one of those, I guess, no time frame as to when this project, when they would start this project?
I couldn't be clear on that.
Yeah.
Usually there's, I mean, I haven't seen them, usually there's some type, that bid will expire at some point usually.
Kind of just adjacent to this, Mr. Taylor, do I remember correctly that you had another award under West Virginia First or another program for retrograding or retrofitting the facility as well? Or is there, and there was a line item that was allotted to the roof, right? But was there another pot of money that was for the building itself?
Yes, we have $20,000 to install secure internal separation between the DRC and the Sheriff's Office. So basically dividing that, and there'll be some money that's available to, you know, add a little bit more security on our side, make sure that we have the locking doors that we can control, having people come in and out. There is already a separation on the bottom floor. There's a door there, and what it needs to have is basically like a key-coded emergency up to fire codes that we can get back and forth between, but we still have a secure environment between the Sheriff's Office and ours. Upstairs is different. There'll need to be an entire wall put in with a doorway to separate the top floor from one side to the other. Okay. And there's other money that we have for like furnishing and equipping the DRC side of the building.
And then there's obviously going to have to be some IT work done as far as running networking and phones and that.
And Sheriff, yours is in, almost all of your stuff is entirely unfunded up to this point, aside from the allocation that we've previously made of our opioid settlement funds. Is that correct?
Correct.
Mr. Taylor, is your goal the same as the sheriff's as far as moving in to wait until the other building's cleaned up, or did you want to be in there sooner?
Well, I would like to be in there today, to be honest with you. However, I do understand that while there's construction going on and they're tearing out the other building, it's really going to put a damper on being able to get our people in and out of there safely. So, yeah, we really need to wait until it's safe enough for people to be able to drive in and get in and out of there.
And my understanding is they're going to start on the elementary side and move towards the old junior high, so
That would be last.
it'll be last. And it's just such close proximity to the building that we'd be moving into.
Gentlemen, with the information provided to us, and there being no, after our staff and team was able to review the contracts, found them similar with no material differences between the offers aside from a $1,000 price difference, I would move that we accept the lowest bid presented and fund the difference that exists in the currently available funds, all available with the allocation. I know this is a complicated motion, but provide all available opioid settlement funds to the tune of $90,000 or as available, and then cover the difference of what is not going to be covered for the project after the application of the dedicated grant funds that Mr. Taylor is in receipt of. I know it's a complicated motion, but us funding the difference and moving forward with the lowest bid.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the floor for the acceptance of the bid for the roof of the building to be shared by the sheriff and day report. Again, that's a long, complicated motion, but it covers the fact that we had dedicated opioid funds for the project, as well as Mr. Taylor's grant for the project, as well as a smaller balance that the commission would need to cover to make the project happen. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you for bearing with me on that one, Eric.
Time frame, when to do the project, just 30 days. Or it could change, so.
Flat roofs.
So expensive. So expensive.
Okay, we are down to Hampshire County Board of Health rules and Hampshire County Public Health and Sanitary and Ordinance.
Good morning.
We have our Health Department Director, Ms. Wilkins, here with us today. Good morning.
Good morning. Derek is our sanitarian, and he's also with me today. And what we want to do is present to you, and I think you all already have a copy that you've been given ahead of time, is an ordinance that at our board meeting last week, our Board of Health looked over and approved, and thus that's why we're here today for you all. Basically, what the ordinance is doing is it's giving us a little more authority. We still fall under state law and state codes, but this is just requesting additional means for Derek basically to enforce those that are in violation of anything with the food code, food permits, septic, anything that's actually permitted now through the health department. Now, if we have someone that has not paid their permit, let's say it was due June 30th, and we're in August and they haven't paid their permit yet, there's nothing really we can do other than to call them, send them a certified letter, warn them, and then in the past we have attempted to take that to the prosecuting attorney's office. We currently have a situation right now in the county that's been going on for almost a year, with a gentleman that is operating, he has a Facebook account and is operating food establishment in his home and is actively making posts, and Derek has confirmed that, and he has talked to the gentleman also. And basically at this point, he's just kind of laughed at us and said there's nothing that we can do. Since March, I have tried to work with prosecuting attorney's office as far as reaching out. In the past, she's did a letter for us. At this time, we still have had no support on that end. So this is why we're here today, to discuss the ordinance with you all.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wilkins. I'll start off. I got a couple questions. So the ordinance itself is basically following the current laws that we follow. It's what its purpose is to address enforcement.
Yes, that's correct. And what's in the ordinance as far as when it talks about fines, that's not something that we made up. That is based on state code of the minimum and maximum that can be held against that person.
Okay. The only other question I have, gentlemen, then I'll open the floor for you all to ask questions and comment as well, is normally with an ordinance, we present that to the community with the intentions of having hearings for them to respond and look at it and ask questions. Has the health department went through that process as your board?
No, we have not. We brought it to you to go from that point.
Okay. That's all I have, gentlemen. And any other questions?
Yeah, if I may, President Eglinger, thank you all for coming and for leaning into this. Really what we're trying to address here is just kind of the difficulty and kind of clunkiness of enforcement of a bunch of state regulations at the local level. It's not necessarily easy even for a prosecutor to work through enforcement with the current. She has to essentially enforce a state regulation and then kind of research it at the same time. And then it's not as transparent as to the role that our officer has in that too. So it's not as straightforward from the prosecution side as whenever they just want to prosecute like a misdemeanor crime. So all that this does is it pulls those state regulations that we want to enforce, and it gives a county cause of action. So it says, hey, instead of only the state regulation, you now have a county ordinance which adopts those same standards. And what it does is it gives a separate ability to, you can pursue it through the prosecutor's office, but it also has the ability for just fines to be issued and then paid directly as an administrative fee directly to the health department too. So it gives people options on, if they get a citation, now the only option isn't to go through the magistrate process and to have a misdemeanor on their record. They can just pay the fine and have it taken care of as well. So it makes it really, really streamlined as far as process for, them to uphold the standard that we're asking them to uphold, and we're just giving them kind of the tools to do it, and it makes it a little bit easier to administer from the prosecution side as well. I do agree that, especially as this would be, even though it's no change in the rules, it would be change in our administrative process and change in our enforcement ability. I think it'd be appropriate to have a public hearing on this. There's no requirement that we do, but I think it's a good measure, President Englinger. And the only thing that I would kind of think is that we have, when's our December meeting? Is the 16th? We have roughly a month in between, even though I know that we've typically tried to do 30 days. That 30-day isn't an actual requirement. I would suggest that we could have, a quasi first reading of the ordinance today, and then have a hearing at our December meeting if this is a thing that we want to move forward with, give the public the ability to inspect the ordinance between now and then, before we have a vote to uptake it or to decide not to go that way, we'd have the benefit of the public hearing in the December meeting.
One thing I do just want to let you all know is this is not something that comes up every day. This is rare that this happens. Derek runs into more problems with septic situations and septic complaints. As far as the permitting, everybody is usually pretty good about that. We remind them, we're calling them ahead of time. You just have those chronic ones that just feel that they don't have to pay it, and they'll wait until it's time to open their pool or open their food establishment. But we just want this here just as a little bit of extra security. Not that he's going to be going out and constantly ticketing anybody. That's not our goal here, and that's not our goal to collect revenue or anything like that.
Yeah, I understand that, and that's why I asked the question, that it's simply an ordinance that streamlines enforcement rather than adds any new requirements or anything like that. And historically, with ordinances, the commission has offered that opportunity for a hearing and a review time, and I think that's appropriate here. And as Commissioner Mann stated, not necessarily required, but for our county's sake, we've historically required that for the purpose of an all-encompassing opportunity to notify our citizens of such. So, and I would agree that I think we could do it in between now and the next commission meeting, and if we can get Aaron to make that available, or you guys make it available on your website, as long as it's stated where it's going to be available, so that folks can review that and come to our next meeting with questions. Commissioner Brill, you have anything else to add?
I agree. Just thank you again for the work. It's good to hear it's not something that is immediate, and so I absolutely agree that I think we can allow the community and the citizens to have an opportunity to review this, and then make a wise decision once they've had time to do that. See if there are any objections they may have, and take it up at our December meeting.
Okay. You all also have in your packet, and this kind of goes along with the ordinance, it's the Board of Health rules, and our board did accept this, brought it to you all. Of course, if the ordinance does not go through, then this would have to be revised, but this also directs our board as to their role in all this, and that's all based on state code. Do you have anything you want to add? No?
Okay. Jim, we should probably make that both available through your all's website and our county website, since we will be dealing with it in the county commission meeting. But Aaron, I'm sure that's feasible, that we can make this document available starting, we'll say tomorrow, for review by the citizens. That's my suggestion, gentlemen. If we want to make that official, I would entertain a motion to such.
I would move that we initiate a public review period of the Hampshire County, what's it called? The
Sanitation ordinance, public
Hampshire-
health sanitation ordinance.
Hampshire County Public Health and Sanitation Ordinance for the period between now and the scheduled December meeting of the Hampshire County Commission, at which time we will set a hearing on the same.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second in regards to the sanitation. Give me the title again. We can't seem to remember it.
It's actually the Hampshire County Public Health Sanitation Ordinance.
Okay, as spoken there. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen, for listening.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank
very
you
much.
all.
I don't have the December 16th agenda in front of me, but I'm 95% positive the time will be 9:30 for the public hearing. So if anybody needs to
It's the 16th,
post the
December
time,
16th.
16th at 9:30.
All right, I believe that we have gotten caught up here, gentlemen. And Clerk, did you have any other housekeeping items that we needed to look at
I have several
for our
things
next agenda item?
marked down in the unscheduled area. Health center's possible sale, the board appointments and resignations. I have some block grant paperwork. I also had, well, this goes with that, and coattails on the Board of Health being here. They asked for for us to sign, President to sign, certificate of substantial completion regarding the Hampshire County Health Facility. So this is the architect's documents for their files and so on. So that came the other day. Pam had said it. I meant to bring it up while she was still sitting here, but that's the agreement to finish off the deal. Less than $5,000 balance. Not the final draw, but very close.
We had Tamitha in here and we didn't ask her. No issues from,
No, she asked that we sign it.
Okay, Commissioners, 2 items here, one being the Community Development Block Grant request for payment, and the Certificate of Substantial Completion submitted by the Health Department, and they are in agreement with that document.
President Egger, I would move that we authorize you to execute both of those documents as presented.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second for both documents presented as I just described from the Health Department. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed. Just the front page on that one, I think. Oh, is there? Yeah. Okay, gentlemen, just going down the maintenance items there, we've had the Hampshire Health Center possible sale as a current item on the agenda the last couple meetings. We do have just a couple minutes, but I believe that one is pretty much straightforward at this time, so let's discuss that and see what we need to do to continue to facilitate that endeavor. Again, we did do some extensive research in the past several weeks on that, and basically today I believe we need to address whether to continue moving on with that possible sale, and to whether or not to retain some legal advice as we move through that, if we so choose to continue moving along with the possible sale of the Hampshire Health Center. So, gentlemen, what's your pleasure on doing so or not?
President Egger, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Just to kind of recap for the public, what's happened up to this point is that, we received an indication, I think almost a year ago, from an initial kind of offer to purchase the facility. We declined the initial offer as we didn't think it was in the public's best interest. And then we were approached with a higher number at some point in I think a few months back, probably over the summer, which was more in line with, what we thought the property could be close to valued at. And we put in some pretty substantial work into try to evaluate the value of the facility ourselves. And we came up with a determination of value that we thought we would need to see in order to be satisfied in our obligation to the public. And we received recently an expression of interest from that first prospective purchaser that is along the lines of, that higher value that we think the property is worth for our citizens. And At this point, we've made it very clear that the property, because it's publicly owned, has to process, if a sale were to go forward, it would have to go forward through public auction. And the prospective purchaser understands that and is still interested in purchasing the property if it goes to auction. And, you know, I think, like I said, just to recap from what President Englinger was saying, is that it's, you know, now it's our point to decide, do we want to sell the property, and how do we want that to move forward with the advice of, you know, legal counsel. I was able to touch base with Steptoe & Johnson's Kenneth Barton, who's a very experienced government attorney, and he has agreed, if we would so choose, to represent us in the sale. At this point, I would be comfortable initiating representation or retaining Mr. Barton to advise us in the sale of the property and to handle the sale for us and to set the terms of the sale up such that our county interests are protected, and to move forward with the sale of the property via public auction. I'm happy to, you know, form that as a motion if you know, once we've had the opportunity to discuss it, but I am at that point, or I'm at this point, ready to move forward with both of those.
Yeah, I would just reiterate that I feel like we all have done some extensive research in this, and certainly trying to ensure we're doing what is in the best interest of our citizens and the community. As a whole, I would agree with what Commissioner Mance has said as far as where we currently stand and how we've gotten to this point, and would be in agreement that I feel like we are at a position where, if you two decide to move forward with retaining legal counsel to help us through this next phase of this potential sale.
It might also benefit the public to know that we've been well assured, you've been well assured, that there'll be no interruption of service or to the employees or the patients, residents.
Yes, thank you, Clerk Strayton. And I was going to, right before you chimed in there, and I'm glad you did, that, you know, our intentions here and our terms of the sale would do everything that we can possibly do to continue to, that the facility serves as it serves now or better. That this is not a sale of the building without terms for it to continue its operation as a nursing home. So just for clarification there, obviously that could get through the rumor mill and the news and so forth, that could get turned around into something that it's not. So I'm just making that statement that, you know, every effort on our part is that we make the terms of the sale so that it would continue to be a nursing home and non-interruption of the service itself. So again, gentlemen, I think we're in agreements that we move on. As far as retaining some legal advice on this, you know, I would agree with Commissioner Mance's proposal, you know, as long as we have a at least an estimate of hourly charges, or what it, you know, what it would take to secure the gentleman from Steptoe & Johnson as far as doing that. You know, with pending that is along the normal lines of hourly charges for advice there. So,
Agreed.
Gentlemen, if one of you wants to make a motion to the effect of moving on in that manner, then we will get that taken care of.
President Englinger, I would move that we retain Steptoe & Johnson's Kenneth Barton to represent the county commission in initiating the sale by public auction of the Hampshire Center, and to ensure our interest that we've been identified as continuing interest in the protection of the use of the facility are incorporated into that sale.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the floor in regards to the Hampshire Health Center possible sale, and hiring or legal advisement on such sale. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed. All right, next on the agenda, we have request for Attorney General opinion on possible contributions to farm preservation and emergency services scholarship programs. Commissioner Mance, you had asked that that be on the agenda, and you had some information in regards to that, so I will open the floor for you to give us the details.
Thank you, President Langlinger. Gentlemen, I apologize for the late delivery of this. I sent it out last night, so not a lot of time for you to review it. But in essence, looking at incentive programs to encourage the types of things that we want in the community. We've had a comprehensive plan in place for 15 years now that says that we care about preserving our rural atmosphere. It's a central theme, is ongoing as we're updating the comprehensive plan. But sometimes it's hard to tie that goal to actual policy. One of the things that we know is important in keeping our area rural and beautiful is the continuation of our farms. We do that through, one of our policy tools is through our Farmland Protection Board and our support of that board through the County Commission in protective easements. And another thing that I think that we can look at as a huge part of the problem set is it's not just increasing costs of property, it's not just industry, it's not just a bunch of external factors. When we talk about how to keep farms in operation, one of the things that I continuously hear is you have to have kind of legacy planning too, right? So it's how do we get the next generation to want to continue on, especially as our older generation farmers retire out. And if the farm's going to continue as a farm, it's going to have farmers that want to continue it. And in looking at how to encourage our young people to stay and keep these farms in operation, one of the things that I want us to be able to explore is scholarship opportunities to help train these kids that are in either ag science or ag business or just other agricultural centered educational opportunities. I think that we can look at providing or helping provide that incentive for kids that we identify that want to stay in the community and want to keep their farms in operation, and in trying to figure out how we can do that as a county commission. I just started doing some research into what our ability is to contribute to scholarship funds. So there is a current scholarship fund that is held by the Community Foundation that is just for Hampshire County students that want to study agriculture. That's something that we could actually see possibly and work with directly as a tool and maybe expand, maybe support. But I don't know what our limits are on actually working with a scholarship fund for supporting agriculture. I've done some research, and I think there is a decent amount of public policy and one statute which arguably does allow that to happen. But before we go too far into exploring whether or not that's a possibility, I think it would be good for us to get an Attorney General opinion as to whether or not the statute which allows county governments to contribute to nonprofits for public purposes, whether or not it would specifically allow us to contribute to scholarships for agriculture for students that we identify that want to stay and be farmers in the community. This doesn't authorize us to contribute to that. All this does is ask the Attorney General, hey, are we allowed to even look at this in the future, or is this something that we can't do? So that's the first component of it. And then the second component of it is in the same line for EMS and emergency response. So we can imagine a scholarship opportunity here in the county where if you are an active volunteer and then will be an active volunteer for 2 years, you could qualify for a Hampshire County Emergency Services Scholarship. All of those details could be worked out, but if we were, what this question specifically asked the Attorney General is to consider is, if we are trying to encourage or increase recruitment recruitment and retention for young people to be volunteers for emergency services in the county, can we contribute to a scholarship fund which incentivizes them to do just that? And again, it doesn't authorize anything, but it might give us a tool in the future as to, you know, how we could increase recruitment and retention for our volunteer services. So, and then it's got a couple carve-outs as well for if that fund is available, could we figure out a way to use it for some of our county EMS providers as well? Could we, what are the limits on who can use it? So it asks the Attorney General to give us guardrails as to, you know, if we do actually start these efforts in the future, what would we be able to do and what we would not be able to do. That's the genesis for the question. And like I said, I'm pretty confident that, you know, the answer to these is going to be yes, but if we get an Attorney General opinion, then we don't have to ask for forgiveness later. We've essentially already got the clarification we would need to move forward in confidence if we want to consider them in the future. But all it would do would be allow us to come back and look at it at some point in the future and be like, you know, at least it's authorized. So this letter, if we would decide to, you know, move forward with this today, the routing would be through our prosecuting attorney up to the Attorney General. So we'd ask Prosecutor Miller to submit this on behalf of the County Commission.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I think, you know, I like the idea. I think a logical first step is to get the Attorney General blessing before we would go into any kind of in-depth consideration. So to me, this proposal today is a logical first step in asking some questions about how and when and who, so forth. So I would be in agreement to that. Commissioner, do you have any questions?
Well, I would just say that this kind of goes hand in hand with some of the stuff we have heard here today from Chief Hamrick and probably even John Todd Hott, and with some of the things and programs that are planning to go on, some already going on and some planned for the future. And it also goes hand in hand with some of the conversations being had at Farmland Protection Board meetings and questions of how do we ensure that some of these legacy farms stick around for some time. I mean, it's no secret that farms are dissipating at a pretty rapid rate, and youth today either don't have those opportunities or choose to do other things besides farm. And so it is important to, I mean, we are a farmland county, and it's important to lean into that and to ensure that there are opportunities. So I would agree. I mean, I like this first step. I like presenting these questions, having that essentially in our at our disposal. So we do have answers to those as we decide, and you know, help some of these other boards and entities that are already making some of these moves. You know, it just coincides with what they're already doing. I would just point out and just ask for clarification. So obviously I understand the ties to the volunteer scholarship program and the legacy farm. Also within the document was the question seeking, I guess, getting an opinion regarding the gift card incentives and the public surveys. Just assuming that is just a follow-up to prior discussion we have had and efforts to try to get.
Yeah. That's all it is. There's an opinion which authorizes other government entities to do that, and then we got information from the auditor's office, which was to the contrary. So if we're going to submit a request to the Attorney General opinion, might as well just clean it up. Was the goal with that.
Very good.
Okay, gentlemen. So are you going to make a motion?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. Yeah, I was going to go ahead and just say I will move that we request that Prosecuting Attorney Miller proceed with sending this request for general opinion as it relates to the Legacy Farm Scholarship contribution and the Volunteer Emergency Services Scholarship Program to Attorney General McCuskey.
Second.
Okay. We got a motion on the floor, and as Commissioner Brill stated, and clerk, were you able to get that down? Okay, and you got your recorder, so all those in favor of the motion concerning the Attorney General opinion regarding the scholarships, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed. All right, we are through our normal agenda items. We still have some unscheduled housekeeping items. We are down to board appointments and resignations. Commissioner Mance has submitted Tim Reese, Town of Caton Bridge, for a prospective representative to the Hampshire County Development Authority.
Thank you, President Englinger. The only point that I wanted to clarify there was that the town of Capen Bridge made that selection, so each of the towns has a representative on the Hampshire County Development Authority, which is formally appointed by the county commission. So the town's representative was not able to continue in that position, so they made the decision to ask Tim Reese, and my request would be that we, formalize that as a county commission and appoint Mr. Reese to the Development Authority Board.
Okay, I stand corrected that the town of Caton Bridge submitted Mr. Reese as an applicant for that.
Commissioner, quick question. Has the Development Authority Board had any discussion on this matter, or have they taken any action?
They've not. They've got him scheduled to be sworn in during tomorrow's meeting, though.
Okay.
Okay, gentlemen, I do have a concern here, and I will speak it clearly and very forward. I'm not in favor of Mr. Reese as that representative. Some of you may recall, if you watch our YouTube, about a year and a half ago, the newspaper, Sydney Maurer, had a paid opinion that the current commissioners, and this doesn't involve either of you two gentlemen because you weren't here at the time, but that the current commissioners at the time basically didn't pay much attention to Capen Bridge. If you tuned into that meeting several months ago, I laid the facts out that is very much not the case, especially since I've been a commissioner here. And I do have that information here with me. If you gentlemen want it, I would be glad to go over it with you. But I'll hit the highlights, and how Mr. Reese comes into this is that he also participated in a newspaper editorial applauding Ms. Maurer for her misinformation. Of course, it can all be marked up as opinions, but to me, misinformation and opinions in our news today runs a very dangerous line of, submitting misinformation and then developing opinion upon it. So Mr. Reese was clearly in support of her accusations that at least me as a commissioner and one other commissioner at the time that we tend to forget about Caton Bridge. Well, very much not the case. Since I've been here the last 9 years, I can show with motions, seconds, and approvals, and in the minutes that there's been millions of dollars sent to that area down there in different ways, whether it be through the school build, the old school building, the opportunity for to solve an ambulance problem where there was less than 13% participation. We had neighboring counties asking us to do something about that. The sewer project that we worked with the Development Authority, there's just been numerous amounts of efforts down there. And what sparked it was the roof, you know, and as you gentlemen see today, roofs kind of haunt us, but we had a little bit of trouble making it happen down there as fast as we wanted on the roof of the school building. But long story short, gentlemen, I didn't appreciate being reported by a paid opinion in our newspaper with misinformation to the public. And there's plenty there to say that that was misinformation. And Mr. Reese went along with that and applauded the article. So as one commissioner, I can't faithfully appoint somebody to a board that can't do enough research to find out what the real facts are. So that's just my opinion, and I know you gentlemen have not been involved in that. That's something that's probably 18 months ago, but it did stick with me as far as integrity. So I just can't agree to that appointment.
President Englinger, if I may, while I do understand your sentiments, I find myself, as a member of that board too, I want to encourage the capture of two important things. One, qualifications where they do exist, and Mr. Reese is, you know, an experienced business person. He's got prior developer experience as well, as especially we start looking at housing development. He's got ample amounts of unique or experience that'll be unique on the board. But I think most importantly, I want to try to respect the tradition of allowing the choice of representation from each of our municipalities to have a voice on the board. And the town of Cape and Bridge was able to go through their process and nominated Mr. Reese. And like I said, apart from the fact that I do think he's abundantly qualified and would be a good contributor to the board, I think it's appropriate for us to try to respect the wishes of the municipalities and their voice in our county boards as well. And I do also have sincere and, I'm hopeful that, past bygones can become bygones, and, hatchets can be buried, and we can move forward into a better and good trajectory for the county. And I think in a lot of ways we're on a very good trajectory. So I will uphold my support for Mr. Reese to receive the nomination. But like I said, I don't discount your impression. I have a difference for the reasons stated.
Well, I can appreciate your words there, Commissioner, and qualified, yes, but again, I have a certain standard that I try to follow as a elected representative for our community, and I don't want to dig into it deep like we did 18 months ago, but that was simply fake news, and I just can't. I won't tolerate fake news, and I won't tolerate those who applaud it. So I can't bring myself to approve that.
Gentlemen,
application.
excuse me, President, I didn't mean to interrupt, but if I could just chime in here and add some to this. I will say that I too would certainly not discount Mr. Reese's experience, knowledge, know-how. Obviously, he's done some significant things there in Cape and Bridge. And we, obviously, as a commission, are tasked with ensuring we do and make decisions that are in the best interest of the county as a whole. Sometimes those are easy, sometimes they're not so easy. Sometimes they're extremely difficult. And so, as anyone knows me, and you two gentlemen have probably seen, I am a proponent of ensuring that all the parties that are prudent to a decision or being involved in the decision are engaged and involved in that decision. I understand certainly here that the town of Cape and Bridge made that recommendation to, I'm assuming the director, maybe they made it to the Development Authority Board. I know the board, you indicated, had not spoke to that, or not spoken on that recommendation at this point. And certainly would continue to encourage the municipalities as need be to recommend folks to sit on these boards, to the board. I would like to see the board then have conversation regarding that individual. These boards are made up of volunteers that are extremely important to our community. They put in countless hours, more than probably anyone really understands, and what they bring to the community and the importance they have is oftentimes somewhat overlooked, I think. And so it is important and I think expected of us to ensure several things. One, that they are respected, and then put in those positions to help make decisions for this county that overall is going to be beneficial to the county. And unfortunately for myself, there have been previous interactions that I have had with Mr. Reese, myself, and then interactions that have occurred with other boards within the county that at this point in time are going to prevent me from being able to support that as a recommendation to the Development Authority Board.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Brill. We will proceed to vote then. All those in favor of Mr. Reese as the Town of Caton Bridge representative to the Hampshire County Development Authority, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay?
Nay.
Okay, the request for appointment of Mr. Reese is denied to the Hampshire County Development Authority at this time. Clerk, do we have anything else besides the invoices?
We have invoices, estates, and an official budget revision. And this budget revision is bringing in grant money. The planning office, HCSA received a grant from who was that from? TC Energy for information packets and support for people of $12,000. So that money needed to be brought in. And you'll recall sometime back that planning office was suggesting revising their inspection system to hire an internal inspector. And they are now generating those inspection funds into the county general fund. And the cost of that salary needs to be allocated in their budget. So they've asked for a budget revision of $54,000 in inspection fees to take care of the inspector that's in-house. If you recall, in the past, all these inspections have been handled by a consultant. The money was passed through directly to the consultant, did not come into the general fund, and their projection is that they're going to generate well more than the cost of this individual's salary. So that's on here, receiving $1,800 of pretty much the monthly revenue from the recycling, cardboard, and other funds and reimbursements that have come in. So it's a total of $68,813 on this budget revision. So, long story.
Did the software get in that too?
Yeah, that's part of the 54. 50 for salary, 4 for the software.
What was the prosecutor's one?
Okay, that is a reimbursement to her that she gets when she runs advertisements for abuse and neglect cases. She pays for them, and then she gets reimbursed for that money, so that's what that's about.
And then OES, the emergency, Office of Emergency Services, 12 grand?
Yeah, the TC Energy promotional, educational packets. Informational package, I should call it.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request for revision of the approved budget, revision number 5 as presented.
Second?
Okay, we got a motion on the floor and a second for the budget revision submitted by the clerk. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed.
Very straightforward this time, by the way. So the TC Energy, $12,000 to Homeland Security Emergency Management was for the Resilient Together Kits program. It was a grant.
Everything good on the estates? They're all just waivers.
I'm sorry.
All the estates, they're just waivers, nothing
Yes.
crazy.
No objections.
Make a motion that we approve all the probate orders, fiduciary appointments, and qualifications, and all fiduciary bonds before the clerk since our last meeting.
Second?
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the floor concerning the estates since our last meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed. Thank you.
All right, we're to invoices.
Other than invoices, clerk, we're, all right. Thank you, gentlemen, for facilitating a timely meeting there. We'll look at the invoices and then we'll move to close the meeting unless we have something else.
Any word on our software update?
No, I have not heard on that. I meant to call last week and didn't. I'll try to get that done next 2 days. No, I'm curious.
Yeah.
Because there's some other software kind of parallel to it that
Yeah,
I'm also want to do, so, you know,
yeah. I mean, maybe that'll help too, if they feel a little pressure.
I hope so. He seems to, doesn't seem to bother this guy.
As soon as Aaron gets through his project that he's working on now, I think hopefully we'll have a little bit of bandwidth to look at some of the other stuff we identified.
Yeah. No, I think that'll be a good thing. And he was able to get us a good patch on her.
He's not dragging his feet, you know.
Oh, no, never.
They're installing the new microwave link as we speak.
Oh, yeah?
See?
What's
24 gig,
That's wild.
1 gigabyte.
But we got the Band-Aid on the current system in this facility too. That was completely there.
Okay, gentlemen, any questions, excuse me, any questions about the sheriff's monthly financial statement or the invoices since our last meeting?
No questions, President Eglinger. I would move that we accept the invoices as presented.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor of the invoices submitted since our last meeting, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed. If there's nothing else to come before the commission, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Meeting adjourned.